It's an age-old question. Do I stop driving or keep going? And when will I know? Are older drivers a risk to themselves and to others? Perhaps, but no more than younger drivers at the other end of the scale. But we're an ageing population, so this is a question that we all need to ask ourselves.
I got it because I was working at the Co-op store at the time, and they wanted a driver, and if you were a driver, you got 2 and 6 a week more. And I kept my licence until last June. I handed it in because as I say, I turned 89. I'd had a couple of accidents. Now, I'm sorry that I didn't persevere and get tested to go on as a licensed driver. I'm sorry because without a licence, you do isolate yourself.
As we all age, our driving ability changes and our reflexes slow down. So how can we find out that we are still safe to drive? Most states, except Victoria, have age-based assessments for older drivers. In New South Wales, it's an annual medical examination from 75, then at 85, a practical driving test every 2 years. In many cases, as a mature age driver, you have the option to accept a restricted licence if you don't want to do an on-road age test.
Perfectly comfortable with the way I drive now. After I had my last operation, and I wasn't driving for quite a few weeks, then I lost my confidence, but I think that's understandable.
Modern car design has come a long way in safety and drivability, but the roads have become a lot busier as well. In fact, most accidents involving older drivers are at roundabouts and intersections, and at slow speeds. But the older we get, the more vulnerable we are to injury.
I regularly attend my doctor. And I think that's the main thing, because he has the last say. If he doesn't okay your medical certificate, you don't even have a test. Furthermore, I've found, and I did get handbooks from the RTA, but I've got to be honest, I hardly looked at them. Now they're in the car, they're in the glove box. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been now and again having a look, and I've been surprised at the things that should be done and how the rules have changed.
You've got to have good comprehension, and you've got to comprehend the situation and see the way around it and see what the problems are with it. And that's got to be quick. I know as you get older, that comprehension is a little slower, and that could cause sometimes a little bit of a problem, but I don't think really, because most of older drivers, what I've found with them, they're more careful, and they've got to be more careful because they're a little slower in their comprehension, and I think that's the main thing about it. If your marbles are okay, I think you can drive okay, provided your ability to drive is still there.
Of course, there are enormous implications for drivers giving up their licences. This has effects on their ability to access shopping, entertainment and family, and indeed get themselves to appointments and other social functions. However, safety should always be considered the primary deciding factor. There is support available for those who are unsure of their ability to drive. So talk to your GP and/or your friends and family. Options include taking lessons with driving instructors to brush up on skills, or undertaking an occupational therapy driving assessment. This will look at a variety of skills, both physical and thinking, related to driving, and whether vehicle modifications are required to facilitate safe driving. There is even the option to have your licence restricted in terms of driving times or distances if you are considered safe in a familiar environment and on familiar routes. Public transport and other community-based transport services offer an alternative to driving, and while it may not be viable for everyone, it is important to know that support is available. There are many simple tips to keep in mind when considering driving, such as planning your trips to avoid busy traffic or confusing traffic conditions. The longer route may be the safer one. Avoid driving in rain, in poor or low light, and at high speeds. And with longer trips, plan and take regular rest breaks. The RTA has regulations that require a driver of any age to inform them about a medical condition that may affect driving ability. If this is not done, then drivers risk not being covered by insurance and may face criminal charges if they are involved in an accident where they are deemed at fault.
Well, for a start, they're very traumatic. But I think after 7, I've got used to having them, and I just drive as I normally drive and go through with flying colours. When I first started taking the tests, I discussed it with my family, and they suggested that I go along and to a driving school and have driving lessons, which I did do, and I found out a lot of things that I might have been doing a little bit wrong now have been rectified, and I believe those tests have helped a lot to make sure that I do drive a lot better.
The reality as we get older is that one should plan ahead and could consider using other forms of travel such as trains, buses, or breaking up the trip if it's a long or complex one. By balancing the amount of driving you need to do means looking after your health a little more. And of course, where traffic is heavy, other transport could be much safer.
What I've done to overcome any blanks in my life like that, I've applied for a taxi exemption, half fare.
Community transport is wonderful. If I could afford a taxi, I'd use them. I was told recently that could get, when I don't have a car, maybe I could get a taxi for half price or whatever they do.
A lot of people call the taxi subsidy vouchers half-price vouchers, but they are in fact a government subsidy that can be applied for through your own doctor.
I think it's a matter of me deciding, be careful, because I've just had a risk, and that risk is a warning. And that's when I think, I realise I must be doing something wrong. It's time to give it away.
When you travel in the public transport, you meet people, you feel as though you want to travel because you are not watching the road, the people, whatever. To me, that was and I've spoken to others who have said the same, that have given up, that they were happy because the traffic now is so severe, or at that time was coming on, it's getting so heavy. But I do find that I enjoy when you go out, either by train or whatever way of conveyance, you always find you have friends that you talk to and people. You do miss it when you're first, you think you can't go down to the garage and take the car out and go just around the corner. You have to make up your mind that you're either going to walk it or you're going to have to go by transport. But that overcomes itself very quickly once you've, But I think the car's become like everything else, It's handy, it's easy, and it's quick. A lot of people have been driving for so long, and the car is their prop. And they think that when they lose that, they've lost life. But you really haven't. You're beginning a new life. Any change of any part of life, young, in between and old, it's always something that you don't want to give up or you don't want to do, but when you've done it and it's happened, it's good. It's not bad. And sometimes it's much, much better.
I've experienced things that are far more difficult. I'm certain of that.
Lillian's right, you know. Armed with the information we have just given, we assure mature age drivers will know what's right for them. But if you need any further information or you are not sure what to do, don't hesitate. Discuss it with your family and your local doctor.